Welcome back to another episode of Secure Governance. I am your host, Jimmy Skirts, and let's jump right into it. Today, we're going to talk about what GRC really is and why companies are hiring in 2025. This is a practical guide for job seekers and early career professionals exploring opportunities in governance, risk, and compliance. And if you haven't been to the channel before at all, I do offer two other options in addition to this. I do have a free course I just started. There's about 3 lessons a week for the next probably 2 to 3 months. Or also, if you just want to jump start into GRC, there is a course that I am promoting. A friend of mine who you can read about all over the internet, and that's GRC Mastery. But let's just continue for today and move on. The big idea breaking down GRC. What is GRC? GRC is governance, risk, and compliance. Governance, the framework of rules, processes, and systems by which a company operates and makes decisions. Basically, these are rules that determine how a business runs: the who, what, how, when, and where. Risk, identifying, accessing, and mitigating potential threats to a company's operations, reputation, and financial health. And lastly, compliance, ensuring the organization follows relevant laws, regulations, standards, and internal policies. It's about rules, managing risk, and providing proof that your company follows the rules. The best example I can use, and I like to use this example, I recently, my doctor retired, went to Israel, and so I got a new doctor. So I go into the new doctor's office, and the first thing they give you is a tablet. And on this tablet, they want to know everything about you. And then when you're finished, you click the button, and then the information goes to a database in the cloud, quote, quote, cloud. So the first question is, what are the rules that govern that doctor's office? For example, how do they handle patient information? Okay, they had me give my life history on a tablet. Is that tablet secure? How do we secure that tablet? Where does the information go once we finish inputting it in the tablet? What are the risks? There could be an individual outside in a car who taps into the Wi-Fi. And once he gets into the Wi-Fi, he gets into the network and he can get access to all that information. So HIPAA has requirements to keep the doctor's office compliant. So when a new patient like me walks into the office, they're given a tablet to fill out a informative information sheet that details everything about me. It's secure and safe in the cloud. Why GRC exists? Structure and chaos. GRC provides a calm, organized framework for companies to operate safely and legally in a complex regulatory environment. Trust and transparency. It builds trust with customers, partners, and regulators by demonstrating responsible business practices. Repeatable processes. GRC creates systematic approaches that make compliance activities consistent, efficient, and audible. Basically, again, I'm going to give you the example of the doctor's office. I'm a new patient. I come in, they give me a tablet. I open the tablet, I'm filling out this information form, and everything about me is on that form, and then I submit it. Where does that go to? It goes to a cloud based system. Is that cloud based system protected? If not, what's going to happen? What's going to happen is hacked in by criminals. And again, healthcare information is more valuable than credit card information because credit card information, you can correct that. If someone breaks in and gets your credit card and overdraft spends your money, okay, you can correct that. But health information remains consistent. It remains forever. And we're in a nation state battle right now where nations are using that health information to attack vulnerable population, hence the previous pandemic. So basically, as long as an organization has structure, it prevents chaos. Okay, what happens if you are hacked? What's the protocol? What's the backup plan? How do you get your systems back up within 30 minutes or less? Because if it goes past that, you're doomed. And you want to prevent these breaches, and that's why we have compliance to make sure that every organization is following rules to prevent episodes like hacking that may occur. Why are GRC jobs growing in 2025? Well, three powerful trends are driving GRC job growth. Number one, stricter regulatory requirements. New laws require faster incident reporting and more detailed compliance documentation. If you're following the news, you're seeing that city halls are being shut down because of hacking breaches. Evidence-based compliance. Organizations must now provide concrete proof they follow industry standards. And again, I'm telling you, most mom and pop doctor shops are not following HIPAA compliance. They think they are, but are their systems secure? Are their databases secure? And again, if you're keeping the patient's information in a file cabinet in the room, you're not compliant. That's not safe. Okay, who has access to this information? Everyone in the office should not have access to the information. There only should be one person, maybe two tops. And then every time they go in to retrieve information, they should have to write why they went in and what was the purpose. And then someone should come along to audit them to determine why they are retrieving patient information. These key regulations are driving demand. SEC cybersecurity disclosure rules, PCI DSS 4.01, this deals with credit cards, and the EU's Digital Operation Resilience Act. And then we have state privacy laws between the CCPA, CPRA, and the VDPA. Who hires GRC professionals? Financial services, banks, credit unions, insurance companies, and investment firms operate under strict regulatory frameworks like the SOX, GLBA, and the BSA and AML. Healthcare, hospital, clinics, and health tech companies must comply with HIPAA, high tech, and patient privacy regulations. Technology, software, and SaaS company needs SOC 2, ISO 27001, and GDPR compliance to protect consumer data and maintain trust. Education, schools and universities manage FERPA compliance, cybersecurity requirements, and research ethic regulations. Government, federal, state, local agencies require FISMA, FedRAMP, and specific government frameworks. And retail and e-commerce, consumer-facing businesses need PCI DSS, CCPA, and CPRA, and supply chain compliance expertise. And a lot of times, when there's a breach, it may not be you and your organization that you work for. It could be the vendor. It could be the vendor. For example, you have to order office supplies. You log on to the vendor's portal. All your information is there. Everything. Once you log onto their portal, if a hacker hacks into their portal, as soon as you log on, they hack into you. So all of these different entities need GRC. Now, right now, the big thing is that coding. At some point, you're not going to need an individual to code. You won't. But despite of AI, you're still going to need a GRC professional. You're still going to need a human to go in and to monitor these organizations. Now, The GRC professional may use AI to implement GRC, but until we get to the point where AI acts like human beings and can think like a human, which is scary to think, we're safe. Now, what entry level GRC roles are there? The GRC analyst, the organized helper, assists with documentation, tracks compliance activities, and helps prepare for audits, creates and maintains evidence collection systems. Basically, if you're a new business, the GR analyst will come in and help you set up your cybersecurity system. Then we have the IT auditor, the quality checker. He evaluates the IT controls, processes, and systems against standards, identifies gaps, and helps develop remediation plans. And we can see the salaries 65 to 85. Really, this could be it's really 100 to 115, but let's be realistic. Entry level, depending on where you live, 65 to 85. The auditor, so the GRC analyst sets up the cyber. I'm just going to put this in layman's terms. The GRC analyst sets up the cybersecurity system. The IT auditor will come in and audit it to make sure what the analyst set up meets standards. And then you have the vendor risk analyst. This person, the question asker, assesses third-party vendors for security and compliance risk, reviews questionnaires and documentation from suppliers. Again, a lot of times when there's a breach in a company, it may not be the company's cybersecurity system. It could be the vendor. Again, just as simple as ordering supplies. You log on to the vendor's portal through your computer, through your network, and if the vendor's system has been hacked, once you log on to the vendor's system, now your system is infiltrated. You see? So you have to always monitor the vendor's cybersecurity system and their protocols to make sure that they live up to standards. A day in a life, what you'll actually do. You'll meet with stakeholders, connect with teams across the company to understand their processes and gather information. Document and organize. Collect and organize evidence of compliance activities. Maintain documentation in GR tools like ServiceNow, MetricStream, and Archer. Follow up on action items. Send friendly reminders about outstanding tasks and track progress on remediation efforts. Prepare reports. Create clear summaries of compliance status for management and auditors. Translate technical details into business language. This is important right here. This is very important right here. This is something that you're really going to have to do when you translate technical details into business language. That means you're going to need to take complex terms and break it down into simple terms. I mean, I have a class where I teach GRC and I break it down like opening up a lemonade stand. And I put it in those terms so people can understand it. And then I pivot into the to more professional sense. You're going to respond to questions, answer questions from internal teams or external auditors about controls and compliance activities. Unlike the stereotype of compliance being all about saying no, modern GRC professionals are collaborative problem solvers who help the business succeed within the rules. Again, GRC roles are perfect for teachers, administrators, communicators, sales managers, people that communicate, people that can talk. You'd be excellent at this. Okay? Who thrives in GRC careers? Ideal traits: detailed oriented, organized, collaborative. You work well with different departments, ethical, clear communicator. Again, teachers, sales reps, administrators, anything where you're doing communication. A nurse could do this. Signs that this may not be for you. You prefer constant variety over structured processes. You find documentation tedious rather than satisfying. You're uncomfortable with accountability systems. You prefer working alone without cross-team collaboration. You dislike having to follow established rules. Again, the government, the states, they set the standards, they set the rules, they set the compliance. You have to make sure the business is set up and compliant with the rules. If you work in a doctor's office, HIPAA has established the compliance rules. You need to make sure your office is compliant. So it's paperwork, it's talking to people, but it has a high salary threshold. Why 2025 is the perfect time to enter GRC? Because 3.4 million global cybersecurity workforce gap. There's a 3.4 million worker gap. 87% of the companies are increasing GRC budgets. A lot of people don't have a GRC protocol. That's why when you look at the news, you hear about all these government agencies, all these financial agencies, all these manufacturing agencies being hacked in because they don't have GRC. And again, there's a 35% rise in entry level opportunities in GRC. GRC, you want to get hired as an entry level scenario, let them pay for your advanced education and go from there. The talent shortage is so acute that companies are now hiring for potential rather than experience. In other words, they're just going to hire you and train you. They're looking for people with the right mindset who can be trained on the job. Good news, many companies now offer GRC boot camps, mentorship programs, and structured training for entry level hires. So there you go. Simple steps to explore GRC. Learn the vocabulary. Start by explaining GRC to a friend in simple terms. It should be about rules, risk, and providing we follow the rules. This will help solidify your own understanding. Follow GRC experts. Connect with at least 2 GRC professionals on LinkedIn or Twitter. X. Recommend Bryant Tremblay, Megan Fee, the GRC podcast, or Rebecca Turco. Watch one tutorial. Find a beginner-friendly tutorial video on YouTube about GRC fundamentals or compliance frameworks like SOC 2 or ISO 27001. Set up job alerts. Create alerts on LinkedIn or Indeed for a GRC analyst, compliance analyst, or IT auditor to see what skills employers are looking for. Coming up next in our next video, which GRC job fits your personality? Now, a reminder, I am conducting a complete GRC training over the next 2 or 3 months, 3 trainings a week. You can just simply follow my trainings for those that work. Also, I am going to be look out for a GRC roadmap that you can follow to make sure you maximize your training, your experience, and your income in GRC. And also, there's another program I'm promoting. If you just want to jump into GRC and get in there quick, again, my program is going to be over the next probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, at least 2 to 3 months. But I am promoting a program from a friend of mine where you could jump into GRC and you can finish it as soon as possible. And that information will give you the jump start that you need to jump right in. Now, here's a mistake that people do make with GRC. GRC is not a technical field. However, you should have a basic understanding of cybersecurity. So let me explain it in this terms. Suppose I was a real estate developer, excuse me. I'm a real estate developer. I know how to develop real estate, meaning I know where to find the land, I know where to speak, I know how to speak to code enforcement, I know how to speak to contractors, I know how to speak to banks. I know how to develop land. I can build apartment complexes. I can build shopping strips. I can build high risers. I'm a real estate developer. However, if you were to come and ask me right now, hey, I need you to frame that wall, I don't know how to do it. I know what needs to be done, but I don't know how to do it. And that's the same thing in GRC. When it comes to cybersecurity, you may not know how to do it, but you know how to implement it. So GRC is not the only thing that you need to learn. You do need to get some basic cybersecurity fundamentals, and I will talk about that and the lookout keep a lookout, excuse me, for my roadmap to um, proper course to get fundamentals and GRC. So leave a comment, tell me what you think, and we will see you on the next episode.